I mean, what a fucking clown. There's no other reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, these people, these free thinkers, the second you call them out on their bullshit and try and take it to another level, question it, just full of shit all the way through. He's always been full of shit, but he's taking it to a new level. Yeah, I mean, he has. Yeah. Remember, he's the voice of the voiceless, but now he has no platform. When he shares something, he's not promoting it. Shut the fuck up, Kyrie. Fuck you. All right, welcome to another episode of What Are They Going to Say Now? This is Jay and Tony. Kind of check in after a week. A lot has happened, so we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Can't wait. Let's get into it.
So let's just get right into it. Let's talk about Kyrie Irving, because he's dominating the headlines and NBA talk and sports talk in general. Still a crazy motherfucker, but he's taking it to new levels.
Yeah. Yeah, he's out of control. I mean, I think when you have Kyrie on your team right now, it's the ultimate dice roll. You just don't know what you're getting, and recently it's all been bad. So,
well, we said in our NBA Eastern Conference preview, it's only a matter of time. He's going to do some crazy, stupid shit, but he's really upping his game. He's upping his game.
Yeah.
The flat Earth thing was cute, like amusing. You roll your eyes at the dumbass. You're like, okay,
right.
Where did he go from there? He went from flat Earth.
Vaccine.
Oh, the vaccine, stuff. Of course. And I don't even want to get into that. You could at least say he's full of shit, but you could at least say there's some basis of concern. It's not as wildly outrageous to be vaccine concerned or whatever without getting into that. I mean, he said a lot of dumb stuff, but now he's taking it to a whole new level. It's like, oh, we're going full Hitler, are we? We're going anti-Semitic? Unbelievable. He posts the link on Twitter to that film. And I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I was like, you know what? Let's see what this actually is. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched part of it and I read some notes. It's full conspiracy theory, crazy fucking shit. It is. Yep. It has Adolf Hitler quotes in it. It denies that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. It's insane. It's crazy, over the top, totally insane.
You don't just throw that up on your page.
Yeah, it's the Jews. Right. The Jews like enforce slavery and worship Satan. It's insane. Right. It's that bad. Right. It's not just like a little skewed that way. No, it's full fucking batshit crazy. And then he went back off on it. He backed it up. Right. He finally deleted it yesterday, but he backed it up originally. He kept going with it, even after Joe Tsai, how do you say Tsai, the owner of the Nets. Tsai. Mm-hmm. Even after he called him out specifically, he stood on it, and which is also unbelievable. Right. Dude, you play for the Brooklyn Nets. New York City has more Jews than anywhere in the world outside of Israel. In particular, and I don't have to tell you this because you're out in the neighborhood. Brooklyn is heavily Jewish. It's the most Jewish neighborhood outside of Tel Aviv.
right in that area too, right around Barclays. It's very Jewish. You know what
unbelievable.
I mean? Yep, Hasidic Jews, and it's ridiculous. But it's just amazing to me that he's able to throw stuff on his page and then kind of use the excuse of, oh, well, I'm not saying I fully endorse this and everything else, but you know what you're doing. Like you don't put stuff on your page that you're not going to promote or have people look at and be interested in. So,
I mean, what's he going to do next? You know what he should do next? He should go to Kansas City and just shit on barbecue. Barbecue sucks. like it's unbelievable.
At least that wouldn't be as hurtful, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be as hurtful.
They wouldn't be happy, but right. But he's out of control, and it almost makes me feel bad for KD. Which hey, he had his opportunities to bail. He probably should have taken that. I think that's going to end up being a decision he really regrets.
To be fair, he did
especially with
traded.
The news today.
Yeah, Steve Nash has parted ways. I guess he was fired, but they're saying it was a mutual decision, which
parted ways.
I think that probably checks out, though. I mean, if you're Steve Nash, you're probably celebrating tonight. You're like, oh, I'm free. Oh, I'm free. I don't have to deal with this shit anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to hurt his tenure. His entire tenure in Brooklyn has been so insane with COVID and Kyrie and all the nonsense the whole time. Kyrie acting like, oh, it's a mutual thing. He's not even our coach and all that stuff.
Right.
I don't think that's going to be held against him in terms of his future prospects as a coach, because it was just, you have to throw it out. It was so insane, everything going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think this will be it for him for coaching, at least for a while.
Well, I see him coming back. I see him coming back.
I don't know.
He might come back to the Warriors. He might come back to the Warriors, who they loved him as a assistant coach, working with players.
Assistant coach. I could see that. Yeah, maybe as a head coach. Maybe that's what. But
so I could see him kind of going back through the motions again, and several years down the road getting their shot. Kind of like Jason Kidd. That happened with him, right? He took a gap and went back, and he's doing very well in Dallas now, right? You know, sometimes the first time doesn't stick. He is.
I don't know if I just don't know if Nash loves the coach life. You know what I mean? I think he has so many other interests and other things he's doing and other sports, and Nash is like, he's got all these other interests and his kids and all that. And I can just see him saying, you know what? I don't need this, you know?
You know what? In that regard, JJ Redick on his podcast, he had he had Ty Lue on recently.
Okay.
And what was interesting coming out of it was, I forget what it was. Someone was like, well, you should coach, you know, after you retire. And he didn't think so at all. But he's like, well, the money's nice. But then some other players were mentioned in that conversation. And if you have a lot of money, you're like, fuck that. I'm not going to.
Right.
It's not worth the grind unless you. I don't want to say need the money, but if you have Steve Nash has plenty of money, so he doesn't need it. He was doing it out of love of the game. So you're right. He might just walk away at this point and be like, oh, geez. You know,
or he could just do consultant work, you know, with the Warriors. He was coming in and just working.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I could see him doing that again. Probably, you know, we could use him back in Golden State. Maybe.
Hey, come on back.
Yeah. So I could see something like that.
Need some help right now.
And then rumored coaches already for the Nets for the replacement are Ime Udoka. Jesus, I was getting it wrong. Which is crazy. I mean, is he going to?
It's like. Take a crazy situation and just stick a dynamite in there.
Whose wife is going to sleep with this time? I mean, it wasn't a one-time thing. He had a reputation for doing that. So, bring him in. Or they're talking Mark Jackson, which, oh God.
Hey, I'm for maximum chaos, man. Just
no, I agree.
Get them both. Get them both. Udoka and Mark Jackson as assistant coach. Yeah, let's do it. You know, I mean, I'm with it. Bring it on.
Total chaos.
Go to a bunch of games.
Well, and the thing with Kyrie that's so frustrating is, you know, in the same press conference, he'll be talking about how he has an army behind him, and he actually said that, an army behind him, army of idiots,
right?
And how much influence he has, and then they point out, well, you promoted this. He's like, I promoted it, acting like he's got, 2,000 followers on Twitter, not like 4 million. You know. Let's play the what's the reporter's name? The beats writer,
Nick Friedel.
Yeah, the Nets beat writer, Nick Friedel. Here, let's play this little exchange that he had, and I really appreciate how Friedel didn't back off. He called Kyrie out on his bullshit and still stood his ground. And this is the example of a free thinker. They always think they're so. You call them out on their shit, and they bail. They can't have a conversation beyond just the surface because their bullshit falls apart. And I really love that he went for it. So let's play this clip.
Yeah, Reed, while we're on the topic of promotion, why did you decide to promote something that Alex Jones said?
That was a few weeks ago. I do not stand with Alex Jones' position, narrative, court case that he had with Sandy Hook, or any of the kids that felt like they had to relive trauma, or parents that had to relive trauma, or to be dismissive to all the lives that were lost during that tragic event. My post was a post from Alex Jones that he did in the early 90s or late 90s about secret societies in America of occults. And it's true.
It's true.
I wasn't identifying with anything of being a campaignist for Alex Jones or anything. I was just there to post. And it's funny, And it's actually hilarious because out of all the things I posted that day, that was the one post that everyone chose to see. It just goes back to where our world is and works. I'm not here to complain about it. I just exist.
And to follow up on the promotion of the movie and the book.
Can you please stop calling it a promotion? What am I promoting?
Put it out on your platform.
But I'm promoting it? Do you see me me in front of
it out there,
the
people
title?
are going to say that you are
Yeah, I put it out there just like you put things out there, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
It's not
you put things out there for a living, right?
Right, but my stuff
is
not
so let's move on.
Let's move on. Anti-Semitic.
Let's move on. Don't dehumanize me up here.
I'm not doing that.
Another human being. I can post whatever I want. So say that and shut it down and move on to the next question.
But Kyrie, you have to understand that
I don't have to understand anything from you.
It's not me.
Nothing.
By
no people that you're making up, bro. Move on.
But by posting,
move on. Next question.
Anybody,
do you guys have any more questions?
And they're going to say,
"You guys have any more questions?" Because this is going to be a clip. This is going to be a clip that he's going to marvel at. Is this any more questions?
Wow!
But you're not answering the question.
Oh, this is another answering your question. No. Oh my God! Let's make another Instagram clip so we could be famous again. Next question.
Kyrie basketball.
Wow.
What? I mean, what a fucking clown. There's no other reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, these people, these free thinkers, the second you call them out on their bullshit and try and take it to another level, question it, just full of shit all the way through. He's always been full of shit, but he's taking it to a new level. Yeah. I mean, he has, remember, he's the voice of the voiceless, but now he has no platform. When he shares something, he's not promoting it. Shut the fuck up, Kyrie. Fuck you. I'm so sick of his shit. I can't wait till he's out of the league.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Yeah,
and the sad thing is, like on Twitter, there's all these people supporting him, all these idiots supporting him, and I mean they're delusional a whole different level. On top of it, can I actually say Kyrie's got to be the most overrated basketball player on the planet? He can go off. He can get hot, like Steph can get hot, Klay can get hot. He goes supernova. He goes absolutely on fire, but he also sucks at defense. Like, he really sucks at defense. He is not good at it, and he's a major liability out there. And, you know, he also has the games where he can't shoot, and he just keeps going and going and going, which that is a shooter's mentality, so I can't fault him for that. But he's so overrated, like in the old package. He doesn't make anyone better around him. Kyrie's about Kyrie. He always has been. And LeBron dragged his ass to greatness. And without LeBron, where's he been since? Disappointment after disappointment. Even with KD, though, he can't get it done.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say most overrated ever. I mean, I think he's very talented. His talent is undeniable. But I think when you factor in the whole package of what you have to deal with a Kyrie-led team, you know, especially if you don't have a second, you know, a LeBron there or a KD or something like that. But I think it's just not worth all the trouble. And I think that Brooklyn's seriously regretting allowing, you know, that pairing to force their way in and force the coaching and, you know, this and that. And they, you know, the whole thing with Steve Nash was who they wanted, you know, and then they talked about how they could coach themselves. So it's just a joke.
And they built the roster. They got the roster they wanted.
You know, they got rid of
They got rid of
what they deserve. Yeah.
Who was the center they had that was a good young center? I forget who. They got rid of him to make way for DeAndre Jordan, who was washed up.
Oh, yes, he's in Cleveland now.
Doing well in Cleveland. Anyway, I'm blanking on the name.
I gotta look it up. But he's. Yeah.
But that's the point. They got everything they wanted, and it completely flamed out. I'm just so over Kyrie, and you know he digs his heels in, and just I'm sick of it. You know, that's my new nickname is Kyrie's Kanye with a jump shot. On very similar levels.
Jared Allen.
And we're going to Jared Allen, who's doing very well in Cleveland. He's a quality young center, much cheaper than DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan is like out of the league now, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, they pushed Kenny Atkinson out, who, you know, hey, we got him on the
Nets had built up this
now,
great young core,
coach,
and then they got blown up by bringing these guys in instead of keeping part of that core, which made them an attractive destination. So whatever.
To be fair,
I don't
think they would have gotten KD if they didn't, you know, the way they were packaging them together, or that.
I mean, they had to do it. My point was
together.
That was KD and Kyrie requesting that. That was part of the deal. Right. So they have no one to blame but themselves. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think there's a good chance though that we do see some of the offseason trades that we thought might happen, KD and otherwise. Mm-hmm. I think we might see the Nets blow it up at some point. I mean, they're losing. What are they, 1-5?
Yeah.
They're losing. So
they won. I think they won last night, which is funny.
They're 2-5. They're 2-5.
They made this move coming off of a win. Yeah.
Oh, and funny thing, that was against the Pacers in Indiana, and there's a bunch of guys in the front row wearing like anti-Semitism shirts.
Yeah.
And Kyrie says some nonsense like, "I'm with you, you guys," or whatever, and they're like, "Fuck you! Like, are you kidding?"
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Man.
Yep.
Okay. So let's transition from here. We'll go back to the NBA, but since we're on this topic and this is sports related, I just said Kyrie is Kanye with the jump shot. So we actually have to talk about Kanye West. I know it's a sports podcast, but it's related because he has Donda Sports. And so on the same note, Kanye, I'm going to accidentally call him Kanye. It's like Kanye goes on a couple podcasts.
One and the same.
He went on Lex Friedman's podcast. Is it Lex Friedman?
Okay.
Good interviewer.
I'm not sure.
And he's Jewish, I should add. And Kanye goes even beyond Kyrie. He just goes off. He talks about, Jewish overlords and just crazy stereotype shit. And, Kanye got canceled in the last week or two. Adidas dropped his brand.
Yeah.
And then he shows up at Skechers and gets escorted out. Which I think is hilarious. You show up at Skechers and get See, here's the door.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty low.
But, I mean, so here's the thing about Kanye. I think he's actually a musical genius. I think he's extremely talented. I love his early albums, going back to like College Dropout.
Late Registration, Graduation.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
They're all great.
He could really tie in lyrics with a beat and a hook, and he's just fantastic. Those have been on my playlist forever. Like, I think he's great. 808 and Heartbreak. 808 and Heartbreak is really good. Kind of low key underrated, I think, just in terms of like melodies and beats and how he works it. And then right around it got to like, was it My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy? Is that what it's called? Around 2012 or so.
Yeah.
And that kind of shifted a little bit. There's some good stuff on there, but it's also kind of, he starts to get self-indulgent. Then he marries, he hooks up with Kim Kardashian and he goes off the rails. And I kind of don't understand the Kanye. Again, I think he's a musical genius, but he's got too many yes men around him, or maybe no one around him. It sounds like he needs someone around him to speak some truth to him. But like the truth is, I can say it, he's been garbage for 10 years and his clothing line sucks. I don't know. Hey, maybe I'm not the target for that. So whatever, but he hasn't been good for a while and he's all over the place. And so he has the Donda Sports. And if I was a Celtics fan, I'd be very concerned about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown took a day or two to actually leave Donda Sports after all this came out. Some other players were like out immediately, like, oh man, Kanye is off the rails. Right. And and then Jaylen also liked some stuff on Twitter that suggested that basically he had no choice. He was kind of forced to leave it, but he didn't want to. And he's still supporting and standing by Kanye. Not a good look. And, and Jaylen's also been seen, hanging with Kyrie too. So that's kind of sad to see. I like Jaylen. If I'm a Celtics fan, I'm very concerned about the path he's about to go down, or it seems like he's on, just completely falling into that. And so I'm going to bring this up. There's been a weird trend, and this goes to Steven Jackson, former NBA player Steven Jackson. There's been this ongoing trend with high profile black men, it's almost never women, it's always men, being anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. And from my point of view, from my lily white point of view, I can't quite understand it, because I feel like of all different types of people, I feel like the Jews and the black community should actually be tight and understanding of one another, because you're talking about the two most oppressed people in modern history. But there seems to be a thing with high profile black men hating on Jews. Like, here's two examples just this week, but this isn't new. And I'm just curious if you have any other perspective than I do, because I'm confused by it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm confused by it as well. You would think that, like you said, being two oppressed minority groups, that you would have sort of an alliance, right? And that you would that they would kind of find kinship in one another. And so it's very strange to me. I mean, Kyrie and Kanye aside, I think they're both nutballs, and like I think Kanye, I know. You're talking a lot about him. I think there's some real mental health issues there. Like really,
I was going to say, at least Kanye has the excuse of, I mean, he's clearly bipolar and he's off his meds.
I don't know if
it goes down the rabbit hole.
An excuse, but yeah, I don't know.
It's better than Kyrie. Kyrie has Kyrie's just full of his own shit. Like, at least Kanye, you can kind of see some mental health stuff.
He needs help. Yeah,
and I think he seems very lonely. I think he seems very lonely, and you fall down a rabbit hole. And so I'm actually, Kanye said way worse stuff than Kyrie, but he has, I feel like I'm more understanding of it just because I think he's lonely. I think, he's got that, he's like turned it into an incel or something. It's kind of sad.
I don't know. There's ever since, it's really since, I feel like the turning point with him was when his mom passed away, which was 2007. They did a documentary about him on Netflix. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, she died on the table during plastic surgery.
Right. I think that really messed him up. And,
isn't that?
We're still seeing fallout
Didn't he then record 808 and Heartbreak after his mom died?
Yes, I believe so.
And it was a great album.
Yeah. So, which was still a good album. But yeah, I think that.
But then after that is when he kind of starts to go off the rails.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that
I just think he's a lonely dude.
That,
when you get pulled into that Kardashian, the industrial Kardashian complex, you get pulled into that, and weird shit happens. I mean, they churn through people. It's the whole thing,
Right.
And it's funny. What I thought was interesting also. Well, during his podcast with Lex Friedman, he goes, "Well, when Kim went out to the left, our interests no longer aligned." And it's like, I don't think Kim went out to the left. I think you went extreme right, buddy. Just completely unaware,
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and he made that marriage sound like a business arrangement, which I guess in celebrity circles, that's probably a little bit true. How do our brands align at that level? And they always felt like that.
It boosts both their profiles. Yeah, exactly. But I think that it got to a point where I don't think Kim felt safe having her kids around him all the time, and like at the
understandably
point now,
so.
You don't know. Yeah, it's not good. I don't know if there's anyone that's helping him or is trying to help him at this point. He seems like he's alienated a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
so
bad.
So on that note, and going with the Donda sports, we can tie this in the NFL. Tom Brady and Giselle, that divorce happened quickly. It's done.
Split up. Yeah.
Very quickly. But what's crazy to me is Antonio Brown, who Brady welcomed into his house not once but twice, into New England when he was struggling. Brady brought him in. He stayed at his house, took him under his wing, and tried to make it work. That kind of and then that fell apart, I guess, because Brown had some weird behavior and Belichick was done with it, right? Yeah. And then so Brady goes to Tampa Bay and he has him down there again and brings him in and tries to make it work. And then last season, we see that mid-game meltdown where Brown takes his pads off and throws his stuff in the stands and quits. And now you have Antonio Brown completely trashing Brady. It's unbelievable. He is selling T-shirts. So to be clear, Antonio Brown is high up working for Kanye at Donda Sports. He's like their, I forget what his title is, but he's high up there. So he didn't bail at all after the stuff with Kanye this week. He's standing by him. But on top of that, he's selling T-shirts with like Giselle hugging him on it. Like kind of creepy. Like, have you seen this? They're really weird.
They're just weird.
And it's like, this guy welcomed you into his house twice and he's going through a divorce. And then you're selling T-shirts with you hugging his wife, his ex-wife, now ex-wife.
Right.
It's really gross. And it's just, I mean, Antonio Brown, fine. We want to talk about excuses. clearly he has CTE after that. They show that hit.
I was going to say,
or when he was on Pittsburgh, and he got rocked. And he's been crazy ever since. So, but it's just really, it's gross to see. But that also, yeah. So I think he didn't ditch Kanye because he has no options left. Talk about burning bridges. So I think he had no choice but to stick with Kanye. But just, man, that's brutal. Like, Brady welcomes you in your house and you treat him like that. And it's hard to understand. And on the NFL note, I think people get a little numb to celebrity culture. These are still people. Tom and Giselle, they have children together. And I mean, I speak from recent experience. Going through a divorce is extremely consuming. It's just super stressful. Kids, lawyers, just trying to stay focused and not ruminate on that stuff. It's rough. So the idea that this isn't impacting Brady's play in Tampa, they've lost 3 in a row, right?
Yeah.
Of course it is. I mean, that's rough. I mean, I know they're celebrities and everything, but they're still people. With kids, and they have all this stuff. People forget about that, and all the speculation about Brady and the divorce. To me, that's so ugly. To me, it's so ugly. Obviously, it's a fair conclusion to say him coming out of retirement was maybe the impetus for that divorce. Yeah, but obviously there was other stuff before that. It's not just going to be just that. Yeah. There's a lot more.
It's never one thing, feel, right?
All the speculation to me feels really ugly. I don't like it, but we'll see how he bounces back. The second half of this season, but him and Aaron Rodgers are probably exchanging texts, being like, "Should have just hung him up. Should have just hung him up."
Yeah, they both should have. They should have gone out together. Yeah, it's not looking great for either one of those guys or their teams. So. Interesting year in the NFL, that's for sure.
Since we dabbled into the NFL, let's stick with it a little bit. So I said I was skeptical of the Jets, and that's starting to come out a little bit, just because I like Robert Saleh and the defense, but who's their quarterback? And Zach Wilson is not a reliable quarterback at this point. I think we're going to see Joe Flacco real soon, like next week.
Really?
Because they had that game against the Patriots, and he started out okay, and then it just melted down. He threw like 3 picks in the second half, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't a believer there. I also said I was skeptical of the Giants because we were talking about New York football fever, and they got beat up by the Seahawks. Oh, the Seahawks look really good. Geno Smith,
they do,
stepping into the Russell Wilson role while Wilson's out in Denver struggling. So good for Geno Smith. He hung around a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Ironically, do you know who drafted Geno Smith, who's looking really good right now? The New York Jets.
I was going to say, he was on the Jets. I remember that.
Yeah, they drafted him. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but I said I was skeptical of the Eagles. They look legit. All the way legit. Yeah, they're legit. That defense and Jalen Hurts looks really good.
Yeah.
By the way, on the Jalen note, and you have a son named Jalen, I'm starting to get really confused between the NBA.
Close.
What? Oh, you have Jaden. Sorry.
Jaden.
Yeah. Sorry.
Close.
But there are so many Jalens in the NBA now.
There are, yeah.
And the NFL. It's starting to get really confusing. Sorry, I know your kid's Jaden. I'm Jay. No worries. Was Jalen Rose was the first Jalen, right? Or first high-profile Jalen, I think. And now there's so many Jalens.
I remember hearing that somewhere. Now there's so many. Yeah, exactly.
In the last NBA draft, in the first round, there were four Jalens drafted in the first round.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, you dodged a bullet with Jaden. That's different. It's a little off the.
Yeah,
it's a little off from
different.
It. So, although look what I just did.
There's a lot of Jaden. There's a lot of Jadens now too, though. So it's just popular names.
I mean, it's a cool name, so I get it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a tangent. Where was I going with this?
You good.
Okay, we're talking NFL.
You're still talking NFL, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, the Bills in Kansas City are the cream of the crop. The Eagles are definitely looking like it too.
Yeah.
The 49ers
Dallas
now
is pretty good. There's some good teams.
Yeah. Dallas looks good. That defense is legit. The 49ers now, despite being 4-4, that Christian McCaffrey trade now with a full week of the playbook, he passes for a touchdown, he receives a touchdown, and he rushes for a touchdown. First player to do that, only the third ever. First since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2005. And
wow.
I mean, the Niners they got off to a bad start in the first half. They were losing at halftime, and they just ran over the Rams in the second half. And that was without Deebo Samuel, who is a Rams killer.
Right.
So wait till they get him back. They have a bye this week coming up.
They're getting healthier.
Guys on defense are going to get healthier. So. They're going to be a team that might end up a wild card, or they could probably win the division because they play Seattle again. They're one game back. They already beat Seattle once. No one's going to want to see them in the playoffs if they come into healthy, just like they did last year, right? All of a sudden, remember last year they were 3-5 and then finished up 7-2. And, almost they were a dropped interception from the Super Bowl. So it's pretty fun to see. You don't see a lot of blockbuster NFL trades mid-season with big name players because playbooks and all that.
It's true.
It's pretty fun to see McCaffrey come in under Shanahan, and Shanahan's got this shiny new toy and he just goes off with it. So that was pretty fun to watch, Interesting stat for you.
And
I'll go with the stat.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The Sean McVay Rams are 50-2 when leading at halftime. Can you guess who the two losses are to?
Wow.
Both to the Niners. This last game, and then last year in December when they played. So otherwise, so the Niners definitely have their number other than that NFC Championship game, which was close. And, credit to Jimmy G. Jimmy G is balling out. He always makes a dumb throw or two every game, which you can say a lot of quarterbacks do that. Right. Matt Stafford does that too. He got lucky. Ramsey dropped a sure interception that he threw right to him.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But other than that, I mean, Jimmy's passer rating is over 100 right now. He's in the top 6 or 7 in the league right now. And he wasn't taking first team reps, all off season, and he was recovering from shoulder surgery. So let's give the man some respect. He's getting it done. I know he makes some dumb mistakes, but he also makes some good throws. He makes some good throws. And I feel like
he does.
I feel like Christian McCaffrey is the perfect running back to play alongside Jimmy G. Because we know Jimmy G does his progressions. He can read the field well. He'll back off on a lot of throws. If you're checking down to Christian McCaffrey, that is not bad. That's your check down guy.
All. Yeah, there's much worse out there for sure. So
yeah.
No, and McCaffrey said, basically in interviews, he still doesn't really know the playbooks and know what he's doing yet. And I mean, to see what he's, how he's already producing, even without that knowledge, he'll get more and more as he goes along. I mean, they're primed.
That's a pretty good start. Yeah. So I actually think for the NFC, Eagles on top. You got to throw the Giants in there. They've had an easy schedule, but they're winning games. Giants, Niners, and Dallas, I think, is also going to be a team to reckon with. And I'll tell you what, the Atlanta Falcons are sneaky. They beat the Niners a couple weeks ago. They're sneaky good. They kind of hang in games. That was crazy, though. They should have lost to Carolina. Did you see what happened at the end of that game?
Oh, I watched that game. Yeah, I was watching that. That was wild.
So I kind of feel like
missed field goals, everything.
No, but the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, the celebration penalty.
Yes. Oh, yes. I saw that. Yeah.
I feel like Carolina needs to protest that game because here's what happened. DJ Moore takes his helmet off, and it was, taking your helmet off. The rule states it is a penalty for a player to remove his helmet while on the field. He was not on the field. He was out of bounds. He was out past the end zone, out of bounds. He was not on the field when he took his helmet off. So technically, that was a 100% incorrect call. He did not violate a rule.
Yeah.
And that 15 yards caused a missed extra point. So I guess Carolina, they're like, whatever. They're blowing it up anyway. They've been trading players, so who cares?
Yeah.
But kind of a big overlook, right? I mean, he didn't break a rule.
Terrible way to lose. Just brutal.
And also just stupid in the moment of the official to come on, man, hold the flag. That's just so stupid. I hate that stuff.
Right. They make themselves, the center of the game more than what I mean. It should have been off the players deciding who wins. So
Anyway, so we're gonna see this football season's gonna round into form. It's still we're starting to get a sense of who's a contender and who's not for sure.
Yep.
Okay, let's bounce back to the NBA and not talk about Kyrie anymore. One thing that has been interesting that's happening already is Kawhi. He's missed a year and a half. He had the ACL. And after all that time, he's already missing games. And he's already got limited minutes. He's missing games. And I'm wondering, so he has a disorder or I don't know what the word is, but quadriceps tendinopathy, however you say it, tendinopathy, and it's like a degeneration of the
muscle function, right?
And it causes more pain over time, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And that was the excuse, and logically, reasonably so, for him to have load management to begin with. But it doesn't get better; it gets worse. And after all this time off, the ACL, and then after all that, and then he's out already. He's missing games already.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever going to see Kawhi back again, ever. Back to form, which would be really sad.
At least not at that top level. Yeah, it is sad. You know, I was expecting big things from them this year.
We both had them ranked high.
Yeah.
You know, John Wall looks good too. John Wall looks good.
Yeah,
which I'm happy for John Wall because kind of saving his career, coming back around. But are we ever going to see Kawhi again? Really? And we might not. That's kind of sad.
The good question. Yeah. I think it's a wait and see on that, but the way it's looking now, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look like his body can hold up for a whole year, so it's not great.
Yeah. Otherwise, with the NBA, again, early reactions, overreactions too soon. We were both. I think we both chose. We said the Warriors versus Bucks was our prediction, right, for the finals matchup. The Warriors are having defensive issues big time, and working in rookies and James Wiseman on.
Honestly,
they're figuring it out. I'm not too worried about them. It's so early in the year. The Bucks look fantastic. They're
I'm not worried.
6-0. The Bucks look great.
Yeah.
And just so it's too early to draw big conclusions. What I will say is we were both high on the Cavaliers, and they look even better than I expected with Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. And they've had they're still missing what's his name? Sorry.
No, you're good. The guard on their team, right?
Yeah, they're missing Darius Garland. Yeah, so they're missing him. They're 5-1. They're rolling. Donovan Mitchell looks fantastic. Yeah. So we were both high on them, but they look legit so far.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics are kind of doing their thing. They look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
76ers started 0-4, and then now they're 4-4. So they're kind of rounding back into form. They have too much talent to not come back around. And it's really important not to overreact to the first couple, really the first month of the season. You know who started 10-3 last year? The Washington Wizards.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So, and just like the Utah Jazz got off to this really nice start, right? What the Jazz right now, they are 6-2, and they are playing well. They have some nice pieces, but I mean, I know they're 6-2. That's not going to last. It's just not. It's also a bunch of guys thrown together.
Same thing with the Blazers. Yeah.
Well, there's no tape on them either. So once teams start looking at what they're doing and then start adjusting to playing them, you're going to see that correction. But it is cool. It's kind of fun to see them start off like that, though. That's kind of a nice thing.
The Blazers are in the same boat, right? The Blazers are doing really good, but I don't expect them to be at the top of the West. I
don't put the Blazers in that same boat because Dame Lillard's back and he looks good. I think maybe we're a little off. I think we misstepped on them a little bit. I think they're going to be a lot better than we said. I could see them in like the 8th seed or something, 7th or 8th seed, versus like we had them like 12th or whatever. Lillard coming back looking good.
Yeah.
I think we slept on them a little bit, but we'll see. Like I said, you can't overreact to early season results.
I'm not overreacting on that one at all. I don't see it still. I see that they had a really hot start. I think they have dynamic players, but I think over a season, I don't think it's sustainable with the pieces they have now. But hey,
just like the Spurs, the Spurs are 5-2 right now.
Oh yeah, right. There's another one. Yeah, exactly.
But that's not going to last. I mean, Popovich is obviously a great coach, but that's not going to last. I mean, he knows it's not going to last. So, but I mean, Trailblazers, good surprise. I mean, they're 5-1.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? It's popped up. I mean, the Magic at the bottom, not a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we're seeing so far is a league with a lot of parity is what we're seeing, just like we expected, because it's so deep on both sides. So things will start to sort themselves out. We'll see how things look in a month from now, early December. It'll start to sort itself out to how it's really gonna more likely end up.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that KD when KD asks out again. This whole Brooklyn shakeup, man. Oh, I don't know. It's a mess.
For all the hype of Bencaro, do you know who else has been playing fantastic as a rookie? Is Bennedict Mathurin?
Oh, yes.
Mathurin? How do you say his name? Mathurin?
I think it's
for the Pacers.
Mathurin. Yeah,
he looks fantastic. So he's a beast. He's playing well, and he's also doing it on the team that has some aspirations,
right?
Versus, and it doesn't take anything away from Bencaro, but he's over in Orlando, and you can get points over there. I mean, he's good, but it just doesn't mean as much when there's no stakes involved. Whereas the Pacers want to compete. And this guy, I mean, he was on my radar from the draft, but not really. And he looks fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, they're 3-5. I still don't think the Pacers will be probably not even into the play-in, honestly. Like once the East shakes out, because the East is really good.
Yeah,
East is really good as well as the West. But I mean, he's looked really good. The Pacers have been better than people thought they would be. But I don't know if they'll be great long term this year.
Yeah, we'll see. But, actually, I think we might have a good rookie of the year competition between those two guys.
Yeah.
Based on the numbers they're putting up so far.
Was going to run away with it. But
right. But it's a legit conversation. So we'll have to see how that one, how that one plays out. Klay Thompson getting ejected for the first time ever against the Suns.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah. First time ever. And I think he's still just having a tough time with expectations. Barkley was like, oh, he's not the same player. And he's like, no duh. That's what he said,
Right.
And I actually hurt his feelings a little bit. He's like, he had back-to-back injuries. He missed 2.5 years.
Catastrophic injuries. Yeah.
So it's like the expectations are a little unfair. He's also been playing, I mean, in the postseason last year, he was pretty serviceable. He played good defense. He had some big shots.
Yeah.
And I think he's just kind of going through it a little bit. That's, he flipped out on Booker. And he even said he kind of blacked out.
Right. I mean, I don't think that was unprovoked. Like I there was a lot of talk of, Klay just started yelling at him about his 4 rings and all that. And I don't see that, not from Klay, even if he did black out, or kind of went off the rails a little bit. Booker's sneaky kind of, trash talk, and you know what I mean? I'm sure there was some stuff said. And Klay, I'm sure Klay struggling had something to do with it also, but
he probably subtly slips it in there. He's got those those Kardashian moves.
I could see, him saying something and then,
I just hope he doesn't
expecting to
I just hope he doesn't go anti-Semitic.
Oh, jeez. No, I don't know. I think Booker's one of those guys. A lot of people respect him, but I think there's also a lot of No, but I think there was some stuff said to make Klay do that because, like we said, Klay's never been ejected. He doesn't really get angry like that unless it's kind of deserved. Like if you see him argue and get a technical foul, like it was probably the wrong call. You know what I mean? Like he's not one of those.
He has a reputation for not bitching at all. Yeah.
Right. So to see that happen, I was kind of like, okay, Booker probably crossed the line saying something, and Klay had to let him know how many rings he's got.
I mean, he even said
they've done nothing.
And they're actually like friends off the court too, which is kind of funny because he said Booker was the first one who texted him when he tore his Achilles.
Right.
Or one of the first.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, when you're competing, it's super high adrenaline, and I think you can get into these things and something can be said, and even though it's a friend of yours, you'll cross the line. You'll say something will happen, altercation or whatnot. It doesn't mean that you hate the guy. So
I think he's just frustrated that I mean, given all he's been through, he's playing pretty well, but he's not back yet all the way because it's going to take time, and maybe he'll never be all the way back. And I think he's frustrated with that because when you know you're a world-class talent and you've been through so much, you're probably, pretty sensitive about it. I would be.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that came from.
Yeah, and I think his shot being inconsistent right now, which is the thing that you could always say about Klay, right?
He gets off to slow starts a lot. He gets off to slow starts. He does. A lot. That's not a new thing.
But he hits his shots and he plays great defense, right? And now he sometimes hits his shots and he's not playing consistent defense all the time. So I'm sure that it probably angers him, and
to be fair,
frustration had something to do with it.
To be fair, no one on the Warriors is playing consistent defense right now, except Draymond.
Draymond, yeah.
They had three straight games. They had three straight games where they allowed 70-plus points in halftime in 3 straight games. That is ugly.
Yeah. I mean, I think
that team will put it together. I think what you're seeing with the Warriors right now,
struggling has something to do with it too. But
but I think what you're going to see with the Warriors right now is
offense leads to defense.
Well, we've always seen the Warriors have always been the other way. Their defense fuels their offense. Kerr said that countless times.
But what I'm saying is when the offense is struggling as bad as it has been, and I mean outside of Steph and Jordan Poole, and it's really only these last 3 games because they had a decent start. Wiggins is really struggling on offense, and I think that's affecting how he's playing. Right, it's affecting how they're doing on the other end. And it all kind of plays into each other.
Wiseman is really struggling on. Have you seen those splits where all of his plus minuses with everybody on the floor? He's really struggling on defense. He looks great on offense. He's in. You get him in the paint and he's lights out. He's figuring it out. He's young. So what I do appreciate,
I feel bad for the guy. Yeah.
What I do appreciate is Steve Kerr has proven over the years he is a very patient coach, and he thinks long term. He thinks about the postseason, rotations, and he got shit for it a couple years ago when he said we're not out there chasing wins. But he's right. Give me a team that blows a couple games that they probably could have won if they really wanted to, but they're figuring things out, working with players, working with rotations.
Yeah. And
with the postseason in mind, the ultimate goal in mind, who cares if you win 58 games or 54 games? You blew a couple messing around during the year, but maybe you learned a bunch, got certain situational experience for your team, your depth. All those things matter. And Kerr has always been very patient in that regard, which I appreciate. So while it's frustrating to watch right now, the Warriors are 3-4. They haven't won on the road yet, I don't believe. They play Miami later this evening. It's hard to watch, but you have to understand the process. I'm not too worried about it. He's got that in mind, but it's hard to watch a little bit right now some of the time.
It is. I mean, they're a team in flux. We talked about, I think, before the season even started, or maybe after the season started, but kind of the 2 timelines thing, right? Well, this is the result of 2 timelines, trying to merge those. Because if he wanted to go full playoff rotation right now, I think
they could have won
much better.
The last 2 games they lost, they could have won if they.
Oh yeah. Right,
if they wanted to.
So So the fact that he's trying to get these young guys a lot of minutes, trying not to tax the older guys, that kind of thing. It's understandable that you're gonna have some struggles with it, and I'm sure they'll go. They're a team that could go rip off 10 in a row, also. I think, and nobody would be surprised or shocked. It would just be, okay, they're back.
And Curry looks fantastic,
and I expect it.
Curry's off to a great start.
I think Poole's looked really good.
I'll tell you what, Poole,
he's always going to have struggles, but
I was going to say Poole the other night actually played some great defense. He's really getting better on that side of the ball. He's putting the effort in. He had some steals, some hustle.
Yeah,
he went on a little tear, and I was like, okay, so he's got them. I think we're going to see him improve on defense.
He scored 10 straight points, something. Yeah,
and I think he's learning from Curry. Curry was a bad defender early in his career, and now he's a positive defender. He's actually one of the. You could argue he's one of the best point guard defenders in the league. Especially with Ben Simmons in his current state.
They don't need Poole to be a lockdown defender, right? They need him to be serviceable and to not be a
get your switches defense, done, basically. do all that basic stuff.
Know where to be, right, exactly. Because, but right now the problem is, I think, overall defense has just been really porous, and I think they're missing Mike Brown a little bit. You know, he was the defensive guy there. I think it's just going to take some time to kind of find that identity with the group they have now, but they'll get there. I have no doubt in my mind. Yeah. If you got Steph, Draymond, Klay, Poole, you got all this talent, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. The NBA season is a marathon, not a sprint. So
absolutely.
Again, don't overreact.
Yeah, because there was times last year where it looked like doom and gloom, right? And we were like, well, guess they might not win another title. And look where we were at in June. So.
It's all about where you're looking in March and April,
That's it. Yep.
So
100%.
Okay, and finally, amazingly, we have not mentioned them once so far. Let's talk about the Lakers. Horrible, disastrous start. We've talked about Westbrook and all of that. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with this. Anthony Davis, when he wants to play well, is one of the best players in the world, but he doesn't seem to get up for it much. But when he does, hey, they finally won a game. And everyone's already talking about, the team being a disaster and LeBron looking frustrated. And, is LeBron going to get traded? Is he going to force a trade out of there? And you know what I think? I actually think LeBron is at a point. I mean, of course he wants to win. He's a hardcore competitor. That's how he's built, right? But I actually think he's at a point where he doesn't want to get traded and leave LA. What prompted this before we were talking about this, we were both talking about how old our kids are. Bronny just turned 18. His other son is 16. His daughter's 8 or 9. But so he's got a couple boys who are about to be out of the house. And you think about wanting to cherish that bit of time you have left, like I said, my oldest is 14 and I'm now thinking about that very much. I'm like, wow, in 4 years, she's gone and wanting to spend that time. So I think LeBron while he cares about winning, he doesn't want to leave LA. He wants to be around his family and his kids at this point, and I think that's something to overlook. Like we were saying with Tom Brady, people overlook the fact that these athletes, these celebrities, they're people. And he probably he seems like I have my issues with LeBron, but he's always seemed like a very dedicated family man, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to say he doesn't care about LA not playing well, but he doesn't want to go somewhere else. He wants to be around his kids while he still has them in the house. And I think that can be overlooked a little bit.
Yeah.
His legacy is set.
It is. I think he definitely wanted at least another title or wants another title. I can't see it in LA with the current construction at all. I think that would have to be a blow up or bring in a huge blockbuster trade, and I don't think they have the pieces for it. So maybe he's coming to the realization that he's going to play his years out there, and probably just not win again, at that highest level. Which I would
get and respect.
That. Yeah,
he's going to get Kareem's record for points all time.
Right. Maybe he gets to play with his son, which is something he's talked about wanting to do. If they can swing that, or he could go to wherever Bronny gets drafted to.
So I don't buy this idea that he's going to go somewhere else or something like that. I don't buy it. I think he wants to be around his family in LA. That's why he came to LA in the first place. Yeah, he's had that house in Brentwood for several years already. They were already out there.
Right. Yeah. I think, he's still going to do some of his passive aggressive stuff. So, I think I sent you a tweet. Or it was under an Instagram feed, and he's basically saying, I'm not, I wish I was appreciated or something like that. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? You're basically the GM of this team. You wanted Westbrook. Like, deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so whatever's going to happen with LeBron, it's going to be in the Lakers uniform. He's not going anywhere.
I'm not going to say never, because I don't know. I know LeBron gets impatient. If it gets bad enough, he'll leave. He will leave a trail of fire behind him and leave. I think he doesn't want. I don't think he wants to do that. But and obviously, like I said, if Bronny gets drafted somewhere, he'll probably go. That'll be his last year. He'll go sign a
Okay, that would be the one exception, but that
Yeah.
still plays into my comments about him being family oriented.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
playing with your kid, that's the whole other special thing. So, but it's still in the same direction, you know. So,
well, I think he wanted he wanted Cleveland to work out long term, and that, you know, the second time, I'm saying.
So I did want to talk about that, but I will say, moving forward, the Lakers are just not going to be a good team, and now that we've gotten those basics out, we need to like stop talking about them.
Do we? I kind of like stomping on him a little bit, but no,
That's true. That's true.
Until Westbrook's out of there, at least, you know, the chemistry is going to be really rough. And even then, it's not like they're going to get a lot back for him. So,
right. I think they're eventually going to give in. Actually, I was going to say they'll give in and trade those draft picks, but at this point, it depends who would be available. Maybe things go so
about Indiana.
Well, what if things go so
like
poorly in
Turner
Brooklyn?
And those guys, yeah.
Well, what if things go so poorly in Brooklyn that KD comes out to LA? I don't think that's crazy.
KD for Russ.
KD for Russ and KD for Russ because the salaries work, and then both those first round draft picks, and then probably they may have to throw something else in. I don't even know what it would be, but the way both these teams have started and everything going on in Brooklyn, that now seems more realistic. Everyone was all talking about Kyrie to LA, but what about KD?
Yeah,
I could see it happening. Actually, that would be kind of fun.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing that happen. I think it'd be fun to see. Why not?
It'd be interesting. It would be an interesting pickup for sure.
You have two of the top 10 players in the league. You could say top 5, but LeBron's top 5 when he wants to be.
Right.
And you get them, and they're just bottom dwellers right now, and it's kind of sucks. So I wouldn't mind seeing that happen. I think it'd be really fun, you know, just for entertainment standpoint.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't think it makes them any less injury prone or younger.
Right.
But
well, and actually, I take this back a little bit. The more likely trade from Brooklyn's point of view would be AD for KD and picks.
Okay. Interesting.
Because AD is a lot younger. So if you're Brooklyn, you're like, oh, we get AD, who's
I don't see LA. I don't see
several
Lakers
years younger than KD.
But
I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like something between those two teams, something crazy is going to happen before like February.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, something's going to happen.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
shake it up a little bit, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that about covers it. If you are following us on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe and/or on other platforms. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, or we're pretty much everywhere. So appreciate the subscriptions.
TikTok. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we'll be back soon.